I'm Carla Baer, Chair of your Board of Directors, and it is my honor and my privilege to call this 190th annual meeting of the Urban Ministry to order. And I would like to invite our Executive Director, the Reverend Mary Margaret Earl, to offer our invocation.
Thank you, Carla. Tonight we gather in the spirit of friendship and perseverance and the creation of warmth and shelter from the wind and the rain through our friendships. Welcome, everyone. It is good to be with you. I welcome our dear delegates, our ministers, our friends. It is a joy to gather for a long-standing and deeply rooted tradition, our annual meeting, in which we take care of business matters, we review our finances, and we hear about the important work of our programs. But this is a time, too, when we celebrate our connection across Greater Boston. This past year, we all know, has stunned us and disrupted our daily lives. It's challenged our hopes for progress, and it has sometimes brought us to the edge of despair, but still we forge ahead. Tonight, we will take time to acknowledge the work of our shared Unitarian Universalist urban ministry and how we continue to move together through these stormy times. This year, we continued helping youth and families navigate a landscape that is increasingly harsh. You'll hear about the growing number of high school students in our after-school program and about their journey to college. And you'll hear about the families at Renewal House and how they reclaim their own journeys. But we seek not only to support young people and families as they navigate that landscape. With you, we work to change the landscape itself. This year, we continued convening leaders of color to address the challenges facing the Black community in Boston through our community conversations. As we conclude our Meeting House restoration, our Community History Committee is imagining how the history of enslavement by First Church congregants ought to be represented in that historic space. We continue strengthening our Walking Tours program, telling stories of Roxbury that press back on racist narratives about this historically and culturally rich community, and we tell a fuller story of Black history here. We lift up Black-owned businesses and amplify the work of artists of color. This is the work being resisted on a grand scale right now, but with you, our delegates, our churches, our friends, we press ahead anyway. The work that we do together is essential in Boston, in Greater Boston. It is, in fact, essential everywhere in this country. It is so relevant and important that after more than 10 years serving here, I am still floored that I get to be a part of the urban ministry. And so I am deeply grateful to you, our congregations, who support and sustain us and believe in this work. So thank you. You may know, some of you, that I'm a gardener, and so I think in garden metaphors. And lately I've been thinking about us as one of Boston's oldest and most steadfast trees, transplanted 50 years ago to the heart of Roxbury, where our roots took some time to settle, but they did, they have. And our deep roots, our deep history is part of our strength, but not our only strength. We withstand the headwinds and the storms and the pelting rain, not only because our roots go deep, but because they reach wide too. They reach out through our relationships and our connections with you. Our roots spread from Roxbury to Wayland to Lincoln to Lexington to Duxbury to Wellesley. In Roxbury is our trunk, the body of our work, but you help us stand firm in our commitment to dismantle racism, to imagine a city and a region where all people can shape their present and their future. We stand firm in seeking to learn about and confront a history that happened on the land where the urban ministry stands, a history in which people were enslaved by religious seekers claiming a higher calling. We face that history, we lift up that history, and we resist efforts to keep covering over that history. The storm around us, we know, is going to continue raging for some time, but I also know that together we will outlast it and we will continue the work for justice that we are called to. And I am glad to be here tonight with you. It is my pleasure to begin the part of our program in which our urban ministry staff team, our very talented staff team, presents the work that they do. Every day, they are the ones tasked with making our work real, helping young people apply for college, teaching people who are white about the impacts of racism, welcoming the Roxbury community to our campus, building relationships. And I'm pleased to welcome our first presenter, Renewal House Manager Marie Padilla, who each day is supporting survivors, overseeing an impeccably orderly and welcoming shelter, and also trying like heck to find survivors permanent housing in a near impossible housing market. Welcome, Marie.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction. So since the start of January of last year, we've been at full capacity. We've had no gaps in our shelter. We've been working, like Mary Margaret said, diligently with our guests in applying for low-income housing, despite all the housing gaps and barriers as far as availability is concerned throughout the city and throughout the state. We are currently strengthening our housing program within our program and trying to just make as much connections as we can so that we're in the know of what is going on, what waiting lists are open, and how we can best serve our guests. 6 of our staff completed a 40-hour DV training this year. With donations from our donors, we were able to provide tickets to the Lantern Experience over the springtime for the families at the shelter. We also took families on a field trip to Waterways in Carver, Massachusetts. We took that time to turn our trip on our way there. We turned it into a DV session group, so it was kind of a twofold trip. And after they had fun in the park, we were able to take them out for dinner and then ice cream to follow. Let's see. So at the beginning of the school year, we were able to provide the families with $1,500 to each family for school and winter clothing. This is because of all of the donors that have been helping out in our program. We've been able to have these cushions to be able to provide these needs to our guests. So one of our participants passed her driver's test exam and received her license paid by the urban ministry. We were able to help her with that. I mean, as we all know, inflation has caused food prices to rise. So we've been able to supplement food costs when EBT and SNAP benefits aren't enough to carry the families throughout the month. One of our program participants is still undergoing a legal battle with her abuser, having to go to court 2 hours away. So we've been able to cover costs for her transportation and hotel stay so that she'll be able to be in court on time and be able to take care of her ongoing situation. We were able to provide the families with a full Thanksgiving spread and dinner last year. And for Christmas, we had an in-house Christmas dinner and party with the staff and guests. The families received gift cards and were able to purchase gifts for themselves and their family, making it for a successful Christmas. Although they're in the shelter, it's a really rough time of the year for the families that are in the shelter. However, the donors' donations just kind of alleviate that load and that burden that they feel at times. Occasionally, a program participant may have a need. These needs can be random. They're individual to the program participant. For example, we had a mom over the summer who needed to put her son in summer camp for 2 weeks because they weren't in school anymore, and we were able to pay for that for 2 weeks. Like I said, the individuals, the needs are individual, so it's these donations have helped us be able to provide whatever it is that they need. It sets us apart from other shelters, like for instance, some from the state who are kind of like, they're very limited in what they can provide. And it's good to be able to help our guests with these things that you normally don't see in other shelters. So a big thank you to all the donors and how you have helped our families at Renewal House. And with this, I will pass this over to Shamika, Director of Facilities.
Thank you, Marie. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again, another year to share the work of facilities. Over the past year, facilities has continued to focus on the day-to-day operations of our facilities and grounds, ensuring a safe, functional, and welcoming space for all. We commit to ensuring a welcoming space, not just for our staff, but for our community, our neighbors, our partners, and for anyone that comes into our space. At the end of last year, our chef Brian was promoted to facilities manager. Brian had a dual role in meeting the needs of our program needs, our community needs, and staff meetings by providing food, but he's also in the new role of supporting facilities and the day-to-day operations of facilities. Rosemary Santiago also continues to provide ongoing weekend support to allow our partners and our other community organizations to be able to use our space during outside of business hours when we're not able to open our space during the weekends. And I would like to say also, I want to give special thanks to our clock winders who are committed. I always like to make sure we shout out our clock winders. They are committed to coming into our building weekly to make sure they wind the clock manually so our neighbors can hear the clock ring every hour, which they definitely look forward to hearing that. So thanks to our clock winders. And I would say that it's been a journey worth appreciating as we await the completion of our historic meeting house. We look forward to opening the newly painted doors to a building filled with new light, elegance, history, and culture. One that will truly reflect and support our mission and values. I would just end this by saying that I look forward to the many opportunities our wonderful, beautiful spaces at UUM and the Meeting House can offer to the community and all that we serve. We thank you all for your committed support as we dive into our commitments. And I'm hoping the next time that we're together, we can raise a glass and give toast to the opening of our Meeting House. Good evening, everyone, and I will pass it on to our manager of Roxbury Youth Programs, Reggie Walker.
Thank you, Shamika. And like Shamika said, it's a pleasure to see you all again for another year of updates at the annual meeting. I saw many of you most likely at the program spotlight, but very happy to be able to tell you a little bit more about RYP again today. I want to start by saying that this has been a great year for RYP. We had a goal of taking on additional students. Last year, I want to say we had roughly around 20-25. Our goal was 30 this year, and we surpassed it by being able to enroll 35 students in the program, meaning that those 35 students were able to get paid through us, whether it be through us completely on our own or SuccessLink or Boston Pick. We were able to serve 35 total with about 20 drop-in students dropping in from week to week. That could be students as friends, people that they ran into. Like one of the students a couple weeks ago ran into a student that they had known from middle school and brought them along, and they spent the day with us, which was amazing. But it's been a great opportunity to serve more students this year. The program this year has been really more focused on college readiness and helping students prepare for life after high school. While we kept some of the art component of the program, a lot of the students were looking for more life skills workshops. So we were able to provide them with a lot more opportunities to do things like that this year. And some examples of some of the workshops that we've done this year were Judge Vicki Henry, who came in from the Mass Appeals Court, sculptor Janice Rudolph, real estate expert Georgia Foote, videographer Bob Glover, Moderna Senior VP Tara Jones, financial advocate Betsy Taylor, and woodworker Phil Nowers, and many, many more that I'm probably forgetting, came to donate their time and teach students useful skills. And a lot of the students were able to take some great takeaways from that. Program expansion this year, we were able to bring on a new staff member, Abby Ciro, who is our history engagement and tourist coordinator. Abby brings her historical programming expertise and has been a big factor in helping us complete our Roxbury tour project that we've been doing in collaboration with Colin Knight, who is a local tour guide here in Roxbury. The students have been working with Colin for about 5 to 6 months, and they're going to be putting together an amazing tour that's actually wrapped up and will be announced soon if it's not already announced now. Lastly, well, a couple last things just to wrap up my piece. Academic support. This year we were lucky to bring back Boston College tutors. We had 3 this year that are part of their PULSE program, which is basically just a service opportunity that the students from Boston College come and they get to spend some time tutoring our students and just spending time and mentoring them. The students take a lot away from the PULSE program, and it's a very big highlight of what we're able to offer here at RYP. Additionally, we were able to bring back RYP alum who was a senior last year, Angel Sanchez, to be a tutor and mentor with the students. He actually goes to UMass Boston, but spent a few days a week working with us. And he also has siblings in the program, so it's cool to have him back. And during our spring break, which was a couple weeks ago, right before Program Spotlight, we were able to take the students to Boston College, where those PULSE students were able to lead a tour for them. We also went to Harvard, where Abby's friend, who is a tour guide there, was able to give us a kind of off the beaten path tour of Harvard, which was amazing. And we also were able to take the students to a Red Sox game. And I think we took 15 to that game, which was a really good time. Weather was great. Definitely recommend. And just to wrap up, looking ahead, RYP, is very committed to offering these real world experiences and learning experiences to our teams through both the program and through our intern program, which older students have the opportunity to work with us in a higher capacity through certain offices. But it's been an amazing year for RYP. It's great to look back at all the things that we've accomplished and what we're looking to accomplish moving forward. Very grateful for all of you and all the time and energy and everything that you do for us that can make this happen. We're very grateful for you. And summer's right around the corner. We have 8 spots here at RYP for teens, and we're looking forward to an amazing summer. And with that, I want to introduce actually an RYP intern, Sarah Simone, who's going to tell you a little bit more about her experience in the program. So with that, I'll hand it right over to you, Sarah.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah Simone Dyer, as Reggie just said. I'm 18 years old, and this year I'll be graduating from Yale Bryant. I've been a part of Roxbury Youth Program since 8th grade, and I officially started working here in about 9th grade as a learning artist. And by my junior year, I became a career exploration intern. RP has truly been one of the most defining parts of my journey in high school. It's the first place where I began to see myself beyond academics and to ask myself who I am outside of school and what else can I be passionate about and who I want to become. And it gave me the space to explore those questions through art, as Reggie had talked about, and community work and leadership. When I was 16, I started working with Sophia, as you guys all may know, on educational sites of Roxbury through a tour during the summer. And while leading this tour, it was very thrilling, but also a learning experience for me as well. I saw adults and children light up when discussing leaders who looked like them, figures like Malcolm X and Mel King. And I also learned something powerful too about how my school was one of the first of Boston's first exam schools created for Black children to ensure educational justice during the Boston busing crisis. This project eventually became the catalyst for the tour I continued to build in my junior year, and I began diving into the stories of Black excellence in Roxbury, digging deeper into the history of the First Church of Roxbury, a site tied to cultural resilience. I've learned how it was one of the oldest churches in Boston and how it became a space for civic resistance despite its racial injustice, and how aspects of civil rights have held the community together. I've learned about how activists in the church and other nearby neighborhood landmarks use the site as a platform for protesting and bringing communities together. And I have learned what life was like back then for people living during this time. Roxbury has taught me that every place holds its own stories, waiting to be heard and shared, in a future where everyone finds their voice in their narrative. But I also know that it only comes alive when we take the time to truly read the facts. And I think for both of the projects that I've been able to do, it not only strengthened my skills in research and data collection, but it also made me reflect deeply on what kind of change I want to create in my future. And it pushed me to understand that history isn't just something that we continue to talk about and study, but something that we're all a part of. And I explored many aspects of Black culture through this work, from community organization to education, music, resistance. And although the tour isn't finished yet, I'm proud of the research that I've done and the path that I've started. And I'm happy that it's creating a foundation for whoever comes after me to continue building a story through their own creativity. A story that's centered by voices that often are not heard. REP has also opened doors that I've never expected because of the work I've done here. I've been connected through scholarship opportunities and other nonprofit organizations and youth leadership programs. People have seen what I've been a part of, and it has helped me grow my confidence and my network and the purpose that I want to create in the world. And it's given me a push to learn about what it means to be Black living in our current society and how I can push myself to always continue learning so that I can create my own difference amongst the people and the spaces that I step into. Because of REP is where I first realized that I deserve to be in a room and at any table in any space that I choose to be in. This fall, as you guys may know, I'll be attending Boston University, where I'll be majoring in child development and family-centered care, exploring the different psychological and psychosocial and emotional needs of children and families through healthcare settings. While this isn't a path that's directly related to historical justice and research, it is rooted in the same values of service and building up others. I hope to become a child life specialist or a NICU nurse, supporting children and families through their most vulnerable times. And no matter where my career takes me, I'll always stay connected to nonprofits like REP. And REP has helped me find my voice at different times in my life. And now I hope to use it to help others find theirs too.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And for anybody that's here attending the annual meeting, I mean, she's amazing, isn't she? If you know, anybody that wants to send some words of encouragement, affirmation, I'm all for the love for Sarah Simone. She's been killing it, and we wish you the best at BU this upcoming year, Sarah. Thank you so much. Additionally, just for some housekeeping, for those of you that might not know, Sophia, who she mentioned, has also been working with us in the See Me in the World tour. And they've been working closely together as RYP interns. So thank you so much again, Sarah. And with that, I want to pass it to Robert Jones, who is our congregational and oh, sorry, Mama.
I'm sorry, I see Marissa's hand up and I just wondered if
sorry,
you
Marissa.
wanted to jump in.
I am so sorry. I just trying to write a congratulatory remark. So
Okay, I just thought you might be so moved to hop on the video to thank Sarah Simone. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah Simone. And I see all the love coming in the chats. You are an inspiration, Sarah Simone, and we get to see Sarah Simone every day. So I'm glad that you all can share that as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Back to you, Reggie.
Thank you again, Sarah. Really, really, really appreciate you. And that's all we have. And I will pass it on to Robert Jones, our congregational and volunteer coordinator.
Thank you, Reggie, and congratulations again, Sarah. Good luck with everything moving forward. Thank you all for having me here. Again, I'm Robert Jones, the Congregational Community Engagement Coordinator. I just want to share a bit of what's been going on this past year with me since I started this position. This past year, my work has really centered around connection, bringing congregations, volunteers, and community partners into deeper relationship with UUM and with each other. In part to do that, one of the things that I really enjoyed doing was working, or as I continue to do, work with the Congregational Engagement Task Force. We meet once a month regularly, made up of different delegates, and we explore ways that we can help the congregations engage more meaningfully with the UUM and its mission. And by working with the task force, I've been able to learn more about the congregations themselves, about the delegates themselves, and also to move into this role, which has been very helpful. Two of the things we've done this year is we held 2 delegate luncheons that reflected that spirit. The first one gave a space for different delegates to share what they've done throughout the year with different other delegates, how they've worked to bring their congregation into the mission, as well as ways that might benefit other delegates as they work to try to put their congregation more in line with the mission of the UUM and bring more volunteers forward. The second one, we had the delegates show up and we flipped the script a bit where we had some of our community partners give a panel about the work that they're doing, ways that our community could help them, and some of the challenges that they're facing at the moment. We also started a monthly volunteer networking session, which is a space for volunteers, delegates, anyone who's interested to join once a month. We hold it every Wednesday, the third Wednesday of every month. A way to engage with each other, again, to share different information, to share just different ways to support each other and their congregations, as well as the urban ministries. Our program, Seeing Me in the World and Bridges of Understanding, gave youth and adults the chance to not just learn, but to reflect, to ask what justice looks like and what their role in it can be. We've had 2 Bridges of Understanding. Hopefully we will have more this year. And Seeing Me in the World is open as different groups call us and ask us for it. Throughout the year, I've continued building strong ties with our partners like Dee Dee Scribe, the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, City Life, and REACT, which is the Refugee and Immigrant Assistance Center, whether by co-hosting events or simply showing up when it matters. Sometimes it's all about they have their own events. We assist them with it, we give them space, but sometimes it's just about showing up for them as well. He's also supported several community gatherings and initiatives, from the Patriots Day Breakfast with Fusion and the Peace Garden Days to youth workshops and holidays events that really brought our values to life. As we look ahead, my goal is to keep building on this foundation with intention, with care, and with a strong sense of shared purpose. And to help with this, I would like to now present a video from one of our partners, Toy Burton from Dee Dee's Cry, to kind of give an idea of how our partnerships work.
Hi, my name is Toy Burton, and I am the founder and executive director of Dee Dee's Cry Suicide Prevention and Family Support here in Roxbury. And I am here on behalf of my community partner, Urban Ministries, and to share with you how they support me throughout the year. One of the ways that Urban Ministries support me is with the Circle of Support program. The people in my Circle Support, they provide logistics and technical support with me throughout the year. And another way that they support is allowing me to use space here, because Dee Dee's Cry doesn't have a physical building. So it's very important that we have a place to have our programs and our events. Another way that Urban Ministries support me is with RYP, the Roxbury Youth Program. The teens in that program are so helpful and supportive. They support us with our toy giveaway, our treats and resources program at Halloween time, and all throughout the year. So I just want to say thank you to Urban Ministries for supporting Dee Dee's Cry and for all that you do for the community.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to our Circle Support that is made up of delegates from different congregations, just to put that out there, and to thank Toy, Dee Dee's Cry, and all of our partner organizations for assisting us as we move forward with our mission. Thank you all for listening, and now I will send you over to our arts liaison, Dee Walters.
Thanks, Robert. Hello, everybody. I'm Dee. I just want to thank you all for the support individually and both congregationally you've given the Urban Ministry. We just came off of a super exciting benefit concert weekend where the First Parish in Lexington raised money for us and enabled many of our local artists to participate and show their talents. And currently there is a gallery show in their reception hall that will be going on until June the 15th. On June the 1st, these talented artists will be having an artist talk The artists' names are Hakeem Rakib, who is a photographer, Lamerchi Frazier, who is a textile artist, Khalid Kodi, who is a multimedia artist and painter. They are all residents at the African American Masters in Residency program in Jamaica Plain, and also J. Pix Belmer, who is a Humphrey Street artist. So I encourage everybody to make that trip over there and contact me if you need more information. So without further ado, I have a short video that I would like to show you about the work I've been doing this past, I joined in November, so 8 months, something like that. Thanks, Vinny, you can roll it. Welcome, everybody. I'm here to explain a bit about what the Urban Ministry Art Liaison does. That's me, Diane rhymes with Cayenne Walters. Just call me D. I believe that action based in a sincere wish to serve the greater good can move the dial closer to a better world. A significant part of my work focuses on local artists and art organizations. The arts enhance the meaning of our lives, and I'm glad to be responsible for fostering strong partnerships between local arts and the broader UU community. These are just a few of the local arts community organizations that the UU Urban Ministry has partnered with. The top picture is an architectural sketch of the forthcoming Greater Roxbury Arts and Cultural Center. Amplifying local artists' voices is a key mission. The first grid highlights 4 artists currently featured in an exhibit at First Parish in Lexington. The second grid showcases additional artists from the Urban Ministry's Artist Catalog, published online annually in early winter. I'm excited to be on the staff that will be programming events in the calming environment of the Peace Garden and, when it opens, the newly renovated Meeting House. There's no definite schedule yet, but I am in talks with local artists and groups to activate the Peace Garden with free community workshops this summer. Roxbury boasts a rich cultural heritage with a variety of public art, including murals and graffiti by community artists, representing high caliber work. During the summer, I will lead 4 tours, 2 on the public art along Washington Street, 1 featuring murals at Madison Park and John D. O'Brien High Schools, and another covering both the old Sugar Hill neighborhood near Malcolm X Park and the Roxbury Community College vicinity. For more details, visit the Our Program/Tours page on the Urban Ministry website. And there are many other events coming this summer. To stay in the loop, check out the website's upcoming events page. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please contact me at dwalters@uuum.org. It's been a blast. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mary Margaret.
Thank you, Dee. I'm so proud to work alongside this really gifted team of staff members. And so I just want to invite you, I want to invite them all back to sort of take a virtual bow. They would come on camera, and this is the time, Reggie's doing a literal bow. This is a time that it's your opportunity to kind of just appreciate all of the work that they do. So if you would like to give them some love in the chat, this would be the time. I know that I feel really honored to be part of a team that includes a really talented crew of folks. And it is good to have them here tonight and I want to thank them for their presentations. So thanks everybody, and thanks for the love that's coming in from everybody. I really appreciate it. So thanks team. Thanks for representing your work so well. Appreciate you. And now, as that love is flowing in, and keep it coming, because I know that they appreciate hearing from you. This is the time of year that they get to hear from you. And now it's going to be my pleasure to turn the meeting over to the board and business part of our meeting. It's an honor to welcome members of the board. I am proud to also work alongside a strong and very wise board, and as you will hear more about this evening, a very courageous board. So I'm welcoming to the screen members of our executive committee, including our chair, Carla Baer, our treasurer, Tom Roos, clerk, Marissa Luce, and the chair of the nominating committee, Lisa Snellings. Welcome all.
Thank you, Mary Margaret. I'm going to invite Lisa Snellings as the chair of our nominating committee to present the actions that we are hoping the delegates will take tonight.
Thank you, Carla. Welcome, delegates. I'm Lisa Snellings. I am chair of the board's nominating committee, and I'm pleased to present the report of nominees to serve the urban ministry this year. And I think Vinny has a slide. We're first going to start with election of delegates at large for this year. And I'm going to read those names. These are our candidates for delegates at large for this coming year: Cheryl Brown Green, Marsha Buttman, Peter Cocoluto, Acuna Eni, Marshall Hughes, Reverend Chris Jablonski, Ruby Jordan Borges, Jean Krasnow, Marissa Luce, Christine Nelson, Thomas Plant, Nashayla Porter, Doug Putas, Tom Roos, and myself, Lisa Snellings. And I would like to move that the delegates elect these, the other delegates to elect these delegates at large to serve the urban ministry.
Thank you, Lisa. So I have a motion from Lisa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Marissa, with a second. So all those in favor, and Vinny will put a poll up where people can vote. And we have 100% of our delegates voting in favor of these delegates at large. So thank you very much. We'll go to our second vote, Lisa.
Great, thank you. We have a number of candidates to join, to continue on the board of directors, and also to new candidates to join the board. I would first like to just acknowledge that we have 3 current members of the board of directors who have served their maximum term that you can serve on the board, which is 9 years, 3 3-year terms. We are incredibly grateful to our board chair, Carla Baer, Marsha Buttman, and Marshall Hughes, who will be stepping off the board after 9 years of service. So I hope you'll join me in thanking them for their incredible commitment to the work of the urban ministry. Now on to directors who are currently serving on the board. Doug Putas is being nominated for an additional 3-year term. Tom Roos is similarly being nominated for an additional 3-year term. And we have 3 new excellent candidates to join the board of directors. I'm going to give you a brief thumbnail about each of them. There's more information in the annual report. Cheryl Brown Green is a recently retired Boston public school educator. She's deeply committed to promoting Boston's rich history, particularly in Roxbury and Dorchester, through her involvement in organizations like the Boston Women's Heritage Trail and the Roxbury Collaborative. Cheryl currently serves on the Urban Ministry History Committee. Our second candidate is Akuna Eni. She's the Programs and Community Outreach Librarian for the Roxbury branch of the Boston Public Library, just down the street from the Urban Ministry, where she has worked for the past 17 years. Akuna is committed to working for social justice, organizing for change, and offering library programming that empowers people to make the change they want to see. She has led community readings at the Urban Ministry and currently serves on the Urban Ministry History Committee. Our third candidate to join the board is Mr. Pat Rohan, who's been actively involved with the First Unitarian Universalist congregation in Newton, known as Fusion, since 1996, serving in many leadership roles, including chair of the board of trustees. During his career, Pat worked as a bank regulator with the FDIC for 32 years, and then as a part-time consultant to community banks for nearly 20 years before retiring. And with that, I would move that these candidates be elected to serve on your board of directors.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to you and the nominating committee for bringing such a strong slate of candidates forward. So I have a motion for Lisa. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Tom. And now invite the vote. And Vinny has put up another poll for you. Once again, the nominating committee's recommendations meet with unanimous approval. Lisa, you've got a little more for us.
All right, great. And finally, the additional responsibility of the nominating committee is to present nominees to serve on the nominating committee. So we have 4 candidates who are all members of the board of directors, which is the requirement in our bylaws, to serve on the nominating committee next year. Cheryl Brown Green, who is a newly elected member of the board, has also agreed to serve on the nominating committee. Ruby Jordan Borges, Marissa Luce, and myself, Lisa Snellings. And I move that these 4 candidates be elected to serve as your nominating committee next year.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Marissa. All those in favor? And opposed? And there's the poll. Thank you. Another unanimous vote. One more piece of routine business. You have in the annual report a copy of the minutes from last year's annual meeting. We are looking for your approval of those minutes so that they can go officially into our records. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the minutes from last year's annual meeting.
Hey, and a second?
A second.
Thanks, Tom. All those in favor or opposed, please vote. Thank you. Another unanimous adoption. So let us move now to recommendations that the board is bringing to make changes in our bylaws. And I want to start with just a little bit of background. The board took it upon itself as a goal for this year, starting a year ago spring, to start looking at our bylaws and to bring them up to the sort of best practice in nonprofits. And because we had over the last couple of years seen a few small issues that got in the way of what we thought was efficient, good governance. And so Lisa Snellings, as chair of nominating committee, took on the leadership of that work. She had the able support of former board member and former executive director, John Hickey, and some pro bono legal support from a lawyer from Goulston Stores. So they worked hard on a whole set of, I went through every bylaw and came up with a number of recommended changes that came to the board. And the board has reviewed them, talked them through, and is recommending them. I want to highlight one of them, and Lisa will walk you through the others. But I want to highlight the first change in the bylaws that we're bringing, and that is a recommendation to bring a change in our language that really supplements our vision and mission that was voted back in about 4 years ago. And I think, Vinny, you've got a slide that you can put up on this. Thank you. So our mission and vision, as I said, the delegates adopted this mission and vision about 4 years ago, put it in the bylaws. And what we sought to do on the board was to take our mission a step further and say, that's important as a mission and vision, but we also need to obligate the organization in its governance and operations to also pursue that mission. And so the language that our bylaws subcommittee came up with was this language here: in pursuit of its vision and mission, the corporation is committed to promoting and supporting the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion in its operations and governance. A legal term of art, I gather, I'm not a lawyer, but I gather, is the notion of belt and suspenders. That it's sometimes not enough to have a belt. You need a suspenders to hold up the pants. And so some would say, and there's a school of thought that would say bylaws should be as slim as possible. And some would say, because our vision and mission says what it does, then it does obligate the organization in its governance and operations to follow that mission. But we wanted to be double sure of that, put the belt and suspenders on, and be very clear that in our governance and our operations, we're going to carry out those same values. We have the subcommittee first recommended this back in December, before any of the news that was happening out of Washington was affecting it. Once we saw what had happened coming out of Washington, our bylaws folks went back and take a look at, well, should we continue this? What are the risks? And they went to the legal firm that we had worked with to ask them what if we wanted to take as little chance as possible, what would we have to do? And they indicated that, well, we would have the option of scrubbing our website, the option of changing our mission or vision, and certainly the option of not going forward with this new language. As you can imagine, we considered that carefully. That's part of our fiduciary responsibility as a board. And we considered it and concluded that it was important to be consistent with the vision and mission that we so care about, that we would bring forward the same language that we had intended to back in earlier this year. So in pursuit of its vision and mission, the corporation is committed to promoting and supporting the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion in its operations and governance, is the language we bring forward to you tonight to add to our bylaws. We really have believed that it is consistent with our vision, and to back off from that would not be what we should be doing in this time and place. The other bylaws speak to, as I said, more operational and important pieces of the work we do that include advancing our vision and mission. And for that, I'm going to invite Lisa to offer some quick comments.
Thank you, Carla. I want to just remind the delegates that you should have been, I believe you all were sent a report from the board and the subcommittee that was working on the bylaws revisions that outlined the substantive proposed amendments to the bylaws that we're bringing to you tonight for a vote. We also provided you with a redlined copy of the bylaws that highlights both some minor kind of grammatical and language changes that were proposed in addition to the more significant substantive changes. So I hope you all have had a chance to look at that. And we did offer 3 online information sessions, and several delegates were able to attend those, and we had good conversations about the bylaws changes. Also, mostly focusing on the diversity, equity, and inclusion language that Carla just shared with us. So thank you all for making the time to review the changes and to attend those sessions. And I think Vinny has a slide, and I'll just briefly run through the main substantive changes that we're asking you to approve at tonight's meeting. And these changes appear chronologically in the bylaws. I've got there's a black box on the slide that I'm seeing. I can read it. I have notes, but I wonder if we can get rid of that black box, and if not, I'll just read the changes. All right, here are the substantive changes that we're proposing. As Carla outlined in Article 2, Commitment to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, we are proposing some additional language related to our DEI commitment. In Article 13, we are updating the provisions related to removal of directors from the board to allow the existing board to remove a member of the board of directors by a supermajority vote of 2/3 for any reason, with or without cause, consistent with best practice for nonprofit boards. The current bylaws had a very limited removal provision that only seemed to address failure to comply with an attendance policy. Article 10, we're proposing amendments to increase the Audit and Finance Committee from 3 to 5 members. We are making this recommendation because the role of the Audit and Finance Committee is extremely important. We felt that having wider viewpoints with 5 members better serves the organization, and also allows for mentoring of members of that committee who may have less finance experience. Article 10 amendments also would authorize the board to fill vacancies on the nominating committee between meetings of the delegates. Currently, you, the delegates, have the sole authority to elect members of the nominating committee, who must all be members of the board of directors. From time to time, somebody is serving on the nominating committee and needs to step down for some reason. And the board is asking for amendments to the bylaws to allow us to fill that vacancy between annual meetings. In Article 11, we have proposed more robust language authorizing remote meetings of delegates, board, and committees. This is to align the bylaws with current Massachusetts law, which permits the urban ministry the greatest flexibility to meet remotely, as is allowed under Massachusetts law. And I'll note that one of the advantages to remote meeting participation that we have been very aware of as directors and also committee members is it really allows us to be more inclusive in our meetings, because folks who can't get to a physical meeting are still able to participate in meetings that are held remotely. So that's been very effective for us as an organization over the last several years. And then we've updated the indemnification, insurance, and limitations of liability provisions quite extensively to, and this was primarily based on the advice of Greg Caden, who was our pro bono counsel at Goulston and Storrs, to conform these provisions to current law and best practice for nonprofits. The section limits the liability of volunteer directors and extends that protection to committee members for acts that we as volunteers may take in those capacities. It also provides indemnification, which is to say compensation, including attorney's fees, for legal claims that might be brought against volunteers. And the new section authorizes the board to advance expenses, pay settlements, and purchase insurance to protect the corporation from these liabilities. Those are the proposed substantive changes, and I'm now going to read a motion seeking your approval to adopt these amendments. Whereas the Board of Directors of UUUM has undertaken a comprehensive review of the corporation's bylaws to ensure that the bylaws continue to provide the appropriate framework for governance of the corporation. Whereas the Board of Directors of UUUM deems it to be in the best interests of the corporation that the bylaws be amended to include both minor and substantive updates to the bylaws, including an affirmative statement to emphasize UUUM's organizational commitment to our vision and mission statements and principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to applicable law and the bylaws of the corporation, the delegates hereby consent to approve and adopt the changes outlined in the proposed amendments to UUUM bylaws May 22, 2025 annual meeting document and redlined version of the bylaws, distributed to the delegates via email on May 15 and May 21, 2025. Be it further resolved that all other provisions of the bylaws as adopted shall remain in effect, and the foregoing amendments shall be incorporated into the bylaws of the corporation. And may I have Carla?
May I have a motion to that effect? I think, Lisa, you have made that motion, yes?
I have made that motion.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you. So on the screen is a poll on a vote on these bylaw changes. That's terrific. Thank you. Once again, thank you for your support to our delegates. A unanimous vote to approve these changes in the bylaws. And let me, Lisa, let me again thank you for your yeoman's work on this project. You dealt with both the big issues and the little issues with equal commitment. And to John Hickey, former board member, and to Gulson Stores for thoughtful advice along the way. There's a work well done. So thank you very much, Lisa. All right. I think it's now I get to turn us over to our treasurer, Tom Roos. And may I just say something about Tom? Alan Cody was a longtime treasurer who I worked with. And when Alan left, I was anxious. And about halfway through the first meeting with Tom Roos as our new treasurer, I said, "Oh, okay, we're in good hands. We're in good hands." So, Tom, it is with great confidence that I turn this part of the meeting over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a financial review and talk a little bit about next year, and Vinny has some slides that will help focus my remarks. So, you could probably go to the next slide, Vinny. What I want to do is review the financial performance against our budget, and be helpful to have the slide up. Great. Thanks, Vinny. So each year, the board approves a budget for the fiscal year. We have just ended fiscal year 25 and have entered into the beginning of fiscal year 26. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just reviewing how we did in the year just ended. April 30th is the end of our fiscal year. So we've just begun the new fiscal year. So if you take a look at the first column, this is our budget, and this is last year's budget. But the pattern has remained pretty similar from our budget perspective, in that over the last few years, we have revenue that, in the case of fiscal year 25, was to be about 1.5 million in our budget, and expenses significantly more than our revenues, almost 2.3 million, with that gap filled through a withdrawal from our investment fund under a formula that is prudent, that allows us to withdraw a significant amount of money each year to allow us to fund the programs and infrastructure that we want, to have to make the organization as effective as we can afford to be. So therefore, in fiscal year 25, the budget is intended to create zero operating income, break even. So revenues of 1.5, expenses of 2.3, draw 725,000 from our investment and end up at zero. How do we actually end the year? That would be in the second column. So our total revenue, as you can see, about halfway down, so a little bit more than our budget, so that's a good thing. Our expenses were significantly below what we had budgeted for the year, which is a very good thing. And so instead of actually breaking even for the year, by the time we took our investment draw, we have an operating surplus for the year of 314,433. That's at the bottom of the second column. So that's very, very good. We had a slight overage on our revenue side, which I'll discuss in a second, significant underspend on our expense side, which I'll discuss also. And then just very briefly at this stage to talk about next year's budget. So again, the pattern continues. About halfway down, our revenues for the year will be 1.4 million according to our budget. Our expenses will be 2.146, again, according to the budget, with an operating gap of 728,000, which will be filled through the formula from a draw from our investment fund of 728. So again, our aspiration is to have a break-even year for fiscal year 26. Next slide, Vinny, please. So to talk a little bit about the year just ended, we did exceed our revenue by 3% against budget, and that was driven by some one-time events. We had a significant contribution from one individual that had us significantly overachieve our donation line, and we had an unanticipated overage in the government funding, which is primarily used to fund our activities at Renewal House. So noted that that individual donation target was surpassed by more than $150,000. We had the one-time government funding surplus. And on the other side, which always happens, sometimes you overachieve, sometimes you underachieve in line items, our contributions from churches and our grant aspirations fell short of what we had hoped for in the budget. So looking ahead, based on the learnings from this past year, looking at our budget for next year, the uncertainty around federal government funding, which is really entirely based around Renewal House, is very clear. And so we really don't know what we don't know about next year. But we have made an assumption that the federal government funding, which funds a good part of our Renewal House activities, much of it comes from the state as well, we're just taking a conservative view and assuming that we're going to get $140,000 less than what we had received under our contracts for the past couple of years. So that's a conservative view, but hopefully it won't be that bad. It actually could be worse. We just don't know how this world is going to shake out. I mentioned that we had a surplus of more than $300,000 from this year. So we're going to put $150,000 of that into helping fund the activities that will be short funded from our federal government anticipated issues. And the third bullet here is about the Meeting House. So while Mary Margaret and team did an outstanding superlative job at raising funds for the Meeting House, we still have a little bit more to finish up and some more bills to pay. So we're going to take $100,000 out of that $323,000 I mentioned and help that offset any additional expenses we will have with the Meeting House. The Meeting House is going to be open. We're going to do some great things there. And we think that there are a lot of opportunities, including on the revenue side, perhaps to meet and introduce ourselves and cultivate new donors. And the Meeting House itself will be budgeted to have a break-even set of activities. So revenues generated to cover any incremental costs from the Meeting House being open as a venue. On the expense side, as was noted, we were significantly below the expenses that we had budgeted, which is great news. That was primarily a result of the delays we tend to traditionally have in hiring, people leaving and not being able to backfill those positions right away. So we saved significant amounts against our budget in that regard. We do find, though, that other costs, like many things in life, continue to go up. So audit, insurance, and other costs are rising But again, we had a very good year managing expenses. The team, the staff does a great job at not just budgeting, but managing expenses to and under the budget typically. And then on the expense side for 2026, we have the Harvard Community Partnership working with us on recommendations for operating the Meeting House. And we will be hearing from them in June with their detailed recommendations, noting again that we have a goal to break even on the financial side. We also have an interest in taking a deeper look at our flow of income against our expenses. It is not a one month fits all kind of revenue stream. It's somewhat seasonalized. And so that we want to make sure that we're matching our income expectations in the budget to the expenses in a more accurate way. And again, as I alluded to before, the managers have helped set the budgets. They have managed very well against those budgets, and we anticipate that we'll have that kind of effective management going forward as well. So with that, it's my pleasure to turn the conversation over to Thomas Plant, who will talk about the History Committee.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. The History Committee was charged by the board to look into and build upon the Abd Ali-Bahi's report on enslavement of those persons and indigenous people in Roxbury at the First Church in Roxbury. And the History Committee got very busy very quickly to look at how we were going to build on that report by investigating those enslaved and their descendants. And so we could figure out a way to commemorate them, whether it's in the Meeting House or on the grounds, for a service in the Meeting House and so forth. Our initial work led us to focus on also building genealogic research for the youth and adults in Roxbury to contribute a skill set that will allow them to build their genealogical roots and research and share that with the New England Historic Genealogical Society, as well as American Ancestors 10,000 Names Project. Once we got busy meeting, at the same time in November, we found that Harvard had a reparative grant that they have for those who were enslaved at Harvard by their university professors. We submitted a proposal, and from that proposal, we received a grant of $25,000 that allowed us to hire research fellows who would carry out the initial work of finding descendants of those who were enslaved at Roxbury. And we got great candidates who applied for that position, but we hired Mary Snyder, a PhD candidate at BU, and also Mika Kane, a graduate student at MIT. Both had impeccable resumes. Mary had done a significant amount of work at the Whitney Plantation, and Mika had done a lot of research on textiles in Columbus, Ohio. Now, they got to work very quickly, meeting the staff at the Urban Ministry and also doing the work that was necessary to start looking into the genealogical research. And one of the interesting things that came out was they found that from Abbott's report, Thomas Budenia and his wife Lydia Crafts was, of course, one of the first interracial couples in the church, and they traced their descendants across the country. If Vinny can pull up the slides that Mary Snyder has developed for us, we'll see some of her work. This will be available on the Urban Ministry website. The final report will be produced in June. And so this is the beginning. We will fill in the data by doing continued genealogical research on those who were enslaved. So this is some of the information that's in there. She has developed this guide and name tracker, and we will fill in those gaps as well. But this gives people a sense of what's been done so far and who had been identified in Roxbury and who was enslaved by the enslaver, as well as their names and stories. We want to see how we can interpret that family. Here you see this down in the Elliott burial grounds, Benjamin Bedunia. And sometimes the name is changed a little, but it's still Bedunia, whether it's 2 O's or U. This information will be used, and we will contact the descendants. And when we have that commemoration ceremony, hopefully some of those will be able to come to that ceremony. So it's a powerful place. It's about seeing us in the world. It's about belonging to a place, and First Church in Roxbury is that place. And what Mary Snyder has done is given us a template to upload new information on people. We've done genealogical research on those who were enslaved. Mika Kane has presented 8 workshops from February 1st to April 1st for the youth and adults and Roxbury residents to train them in genealogical research skills. So they were building their own genealogical history of their families. And this is something the New England Genealogic Historic Society doesn't have, or the 10,000 names. So they will be adding to those databases. And so we're extremely excited about the gifts this will bring, not only to Roxbury and First Church and the urban ministry and those residents of Roxbury who sometimes are silenced by not having this information available to them. We hope that people will use this site. If there's connections they have, they can give that information or maybe even upload it themselves. And we're very excited that the history community will continue this work. And I first want to thank the UU Urban Ministry Board and all those who are on the history committee. It's too many to name right now, but they've done a tremendous job of getting that information, having those meetings at night and really going through the process. And I want to thank Mary Snyder and Mika Kane and their work, because we couldn't have done it without them. And I want to thank you, the delegates, for supporting the urban ministry, and your donations and contributions throughout the year keeps this program going. So I'll turn it over to Reverend Dave Egan, who will give the congregational task force report.
Great. Thank you so much, Thomas. Well, yeah, it's been my honor to co-lead the Congregational Engagement Task Force this year. I co-led that with former board member Elaine Mattel, along with our fabulous new Congregational and Volunteer Coordinator, Robert Jones, who you heard from earlier. So this year was all about, taking our hard work for the last several years and turning it into action and seeing how we can better collaborate with our congregations and our delegates. So to help us do that, this year we hosted 2 delegate luncheons here at the UU Urban Ministry. We did one in the fall and one in the spring. These were really opportunities to provide delegates the opportunity to meet one another, to collaborate with one another, to figure out what was working well in their congregation, and to share those best practices. Folks shared strategies for engaging members of their congregations, and again, held up what was working well. At these luncheons, we also learned about volunteer opportunities directly from some of our partners, such as Dee Dee's Cry, Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, and Refugee Immigrant Assistance Center. Both of these lunches were really well attended, and we plan to keep offering those next year. So hopefully, if you haven't gone to one this year, you'll be able to attend one in the fall. In addition, this past fall, the Director of Special Projects, Monique Marshall-Veal, and myself, we piloted a new program called Bridges of Understanding, Conversations on Race and Privilege. This was sort of geared from the Seeing Me in the World program, which Monique and I helped co-lead several years ago, but this was geared more for adults. This new program engaged members of UU congregations eager to explore issues of race and privilege within themselves and in our institutions. It's a discussion-based program that utilizes small and large group conversation. It uses video clips, interactive games, and role-playing activities to engage learners in a variety of ways. As well, we closed the session by going to a local Black-owned business, Frugal Books. We just led another Bridges of Understanding session this past weekend, this time co-led by Robert Jones, Monique Marshall-Veal, Roxanne Clark, and myself. Both sessions were really well attended, and again, we plan to offer these programs again in the fall. And with that, I will hand it back to Carla.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you to all my fellow board members for their really helpful reports. I think they fill out the picture a bit for the delegates of the complex and interrelated work that's going on at the Urban Ministry on their behalf. As it was said earlier, I'm finishing up my 9th year on the board. And so I thought I would take an opportunity in my board chair report to just reflect a little bit on that work. First, I, of course, stand on the shoulders of really able people. Chris Nelson was my predecessor, and under her leadership, the board really took all the steps necessary to move forward with the Meeting House restoration, expanded it to the grounds, and really had that going. My job was to sort of just support toward its completion. And similarly, I inherited really the work that George Whitehouse had done with others to enable us to have Bethany House and to ultimately to sell it and to put the organization on a long-term strong financial course. So my job was, in the beginning, was just to sort of support that effort. So I really, it became clear that my work as board chair was to help help lead the organization's preparation for really effective use of this new facility and this financial stability. I don't think we anticipated the murder of George Floyd, nor did we anticipate the pandemic. Both tested the organization in different and important ways. And I think that we emerged from both with a greater clarity of purpose and with greater confidence that we have the resourcefulness as people and as an organization to meet whatever challenges lie ahead. I'm really happy, I think, about the board, the staff's work under Mary Margaret's leadership to really embrace the new vision and mission that we put in place and that you as delegates adopted 4 years ago. They've now worked together to shape 3 core values to guide the work of the organization in implementing the vision and mission. They've identified partnership, amplification, and responsiveness as the 3 core values that will guide their work, and that I think they challenge the board to guide its work. And I think that you've seen plenty of examples in this evening's presentations by both board members and by staff of those 3 core values in action. You've seen terrific examples of partnership, certainly partnership with the History Committee, I won't go through them. You've heard them. Super examples of partnership. You've heard about amplification of voices, whether they be young people's voices, whether they be congregational delegates' voices, whether they be Roxbury-based artists' voices, whether they be nonprofits serving the Roxbury community and larger, and amplifying their voices. So that notion of amplification, there are more and more examples of how the urban ministry lives to do that. And certainly responsiveness. I think you've heard a number of examples as well. So partnership, amplification, responsiveness are the core values now being lived out. And I think that will be that will be both the challenge and the opportunity that the organization has going forward. I think the urban ministry has a board today that is at least as committed as former boards have been to the success of the urban ministry, and it is a more diverse board. It is a board that is diverse, certainly in terms of race, and also importantly in terms of life stage. We've got 2 members of the board who are graduates of the Roxbury Youth Program. We've got folks early in their careers, in the middle of their careers, and post-career. We've got folks with deep, important, and ongoing connections to the Roxbury community. We've got people with deep, strong connections to congregations. We've got people who are teachers, we've got lawyers, we've got financial experts, we've got public policy experts, we've got historians, we've got artists, we've got lawyers. It's really a powerful group that speaks very much, I think, to our mission of working across race and place to dismantle racism and white supremacy culture and to advance racial, economic, and social justice. This is a mission that matters. It matters more now than ever. And I really do think that the urban ministry is poised to play a critical role in answering the call that these times bring. And I, of course, would be remiss if I didn't comment not only on the staff's real strength, which you really saw today, I think, in these presentations, but if I didn't call out Mary Margaret Earl, our executive director, has just extraordinary leadership during my entire time on the board, and with whom it has been a joy, just a joy to work. So I leave my role with a little sadness. I leave this role as chair, proud of the work that we've done together, and very confident that this organization will make a difference going forward. I look forward to following the successes as the new campus opens up, the meeting house opens up, and we live into our mission using our space, our resources, our congregations, the best way we can use them and collaborate together. So thanks very much. It's been a joy for these 9 years. Thank you. I turn it over to Mary Margaret, I think, to bring us home, right?
Thank you, Carla. Thank you. So tonight, I want to lift up again that we are saying goodbye to 3 extraordinary leaders of the urban ministry. These board members each saw us through, as Carla said, years that included the murder of George Floyd, the pandemic, the creation of a new mission and vision. They helped strengthen our organization in ways that ensure we will make it through the times that we are now finding ourselves in. And in some ways, I see them in the story of our meeting house restoration. Some of you know that Marshall Hughes has filled that space with music like ties that bind, and will continue, I know, to bring music to our place. Marcia Buttman, who is leaving the board, has built bridges for racial justice for decades in Roxbury, and her voice is clear in our work for historic interrogation of the space. And our leader, Carla, had the courage to say yes to undertaking an unlikely interior restoration of a Boston landmark to begin with, and has led steadfast in her courage through tonight's bylaws adoption. So their voices, their marks remain in our meeting house and in our organization. Thank you, Marshall, Marcia, and Carla. Fare thee well, and thank you for your service. And to everyone here, may blessings pour down upon you like the rain falling tonight. Be well. Thank you.